Hello, this is John Pai. This is the sheep brain dissection. What we wanted to do is make sure the environment's clean. So before, we were able to clean the site with the disinfectant wipes. And safety has already been put in place, such as putting on the gloves, making sure the scalpel is always covered. And then in nursing, we always want to make sure that we have a clean surface. And that's what I created here by cleaning the desk and by putting the box top on. We have the real sheep brain on the right. And then we also have a picture of the sheep brain so that when we are pointing to it, it gives us a good perspective and also a point of reference. So as we can see, the sheep brain is quite smaller to the human brain in regards to the proportions, and also the sheep has a smaller cerebrum. Now the sheep is oriented towards anterior to posterior, so this way we can look at it as like a body. Now the most prominent feature of the brain obviously is the cerebrum. We want to look at what the left and the right hemispheres are. If we go back to the picture, we are able to see that is labeled appropriately, and then we're going to come to the real brain and look by using my scalpel as a guide, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. As you can see, the sheep brain does not lay flat on the surface, and later on we'll be able to dissect and also create the sagittal view. Going back to the picture, we're able to see where the front of the brain is, the side of the brain, and also the back of the brain. So we know the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the parietal lobe, and of course in the back is the occipital lobe. Now, something that's different about the human brain and the sheep brain is that the bumps are the gyros and the grooves are the sulcus. And so we can look closer to see the bumps and the grooves. You see where the bumps are these big white pieces and the grooves are the blue lines. The longitudinal fissure, which is this line right here, is the division of the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. So during our brief intermission, we were able to do a transition. This again is a picture of the brain while we're going to point it out on the real brain. We're going to make sure everybody knows where the cerebrum is on the brain. So getting closer, we know that this is the spinal cord, the medulla oblongata, the cerebrum, and then the pons. The pons, using my scalpel as a pointing device. So the olfactory bulb, the optic nerve, which includes the ocular motor, the trochlear, the trigeminal, and the abducens. Then moving inwards, we'll be able to see the optic chism and then the pituitary glands. So let's go to the real brain as we continue. So again, we're pointing to, we're pointing to the olfactory bulb right here, and then the optic nerves. Obviously, you can't see the details until later on when we are able to dissect it. The optic chism, and see that little indentation right there? You just move down a little bit and you'll be able to get the pituitary gland. So during the brief transmission, or during the brief intermission, we were able to dissect the brain, and that's the whole function of this lab, is to do a sheep brain dissection. As we said before, using our scalpel, we're able to now look more closer into the different optic nerves. The oculomotor, the trochlear, the trigemini, and the abducens. Now, there's just a point of reference as nurses and LVNs our whole goal is always to keep this a clean site. So we were able to use the disinfectant wipe to again clean, and then I've also changed gloves. So this way we're not cross-contaminating and also moving in the wrong direction. So by having a lateral view of our brain, we're able to see more detail of the items that we need, such as the superior and inferior coleus. Okay, so superior is on top and inferior is on the bottom. So I'm also able to zoom in to right there where the pineal gland is, right there, or the pineal body. And the best way to learn is obviously to have a good point of reference. As you can see, this is exactly how we were able to dissect the sheep brain laterally, and by having a picture and then transitioning over to the real sheep brain. So we're coming to the conclusion of the sheep brain dissection, and again we always have to reference using our scalpel the cerebrum, which is in the back, and then moving to the corpus callosum, which is right here in the front. Okay, now the fornix is something new. As you can see, it's right here. That's the fornix with my scalpel, and then we're able to see where all the ventricles are. A ventricle is right here, lateral ventricle, and we're able to see the cerebral pentacle, and then again looking at the pons, we remember that from before. The medulla oblongata, of course, our spinal cord over here is a reference point for us. Now the fourth ventricle also is right next to the third ventricle, and then something that looks like a tree, which is right here, the arbor vitae. Okay, and then the final piece again is to get that right there. Right there is the pineal body. Okay, so we go ahead and zoom out, and again, it's easy to speak about it. It's easier when you have a point of reference. So this will be wrapping up my dissection of the sheep brain. As you can see from the packaging, this is the brain, and we're able to dissect the brain and use it as a good point of reference, and then also use the pictures. Now the final step, like anything else, is we're going to go ahead and disinfect. We're going to go ahead and put away our tools. We're going to go ahead and change our gloves when we're cleaning the desk to create a clean surface, and then wrap up the project. So this is John Pye with the sheep brain dissection.